To this now as a preamble to African Union's Africa Day celebrations later this month and May 8th Ancestors Day, where Afro-centric academics observe the day and push for it to be made a public holiday, intended of course to recognize African indigenous spirituality as well as the honoring of our ancestors as integral to all Africans. Today at a book fair out in Turin in Italy, the second largest book fair in Europe, Fidinsieme honored Dr. Radebe by conferring him with an award in recognition of the work that he has done and continues to do on reviving African indigenous spirituality, both here in South Africa as well as globally. Now, the award ceremony took place at a glittering private function at the book fair earlier today with iMboni, Dr. uZwi-Lezwe Radebe's quest for the restoration of African indigenous spirituality. And joining us now all the way from Turin in Italy is Dr. Radebe himself. And Ndlondlo, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. Firstly, I mean, surely this award must mean quite a lot to you in regards to your quest to restore African indigenous spirituality and what was taken away from Africans in the past.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon from Turin, Italy, to your viewers as well. And you are right, yes, you are quite excited, but at the same time, a little bit disappointed because, you know, everything that Africa takes seriously has to first come from your European countries. So it is quite strange that your European countries now are kindly accepting our own spirituality that was taken away from us. And yeah, it is quite sad on that part that Europe is now starting to acknowledge what is important to us, but Africa's eyes are not yet opened.
And Doctor, I mean, for those who don't know what you are advocating for when you are talking about African spirituality restoration, please enlighten us.
Yeah, African Indigenous Spirituality is our foundation. In our local languages, we say, meaning this was our foundation before colonial religions came to Africa. And then African Indigenous Spirituality, it's not a hobby, it's not like religion, it is our foundations as African. Actually, it's our spiritual roots. So when we follow African Indigenous Spirituality, we are really following our roots. That's when we start getting direction as African people of who we are and where we should go.
Now, Doctor, look, African spirituality as well as customs, as you've just rightly alluded, has often been viewed, particularly in the modern society, as, you know, if you tell a person that unabandabadala or riyatwasa, they say you are practicing black magic or ugutagata, even surprisingly by some black people themselves. So how do we restore the dignity as Africans before we take it out globally?
I always say that, you know, colonization today, when we speak about it, it seems like something that was very small. Colonization was very, very, very powerful because African minds are colonized and they still remain colonized. And so when we have to decolonize the mind of the African person to understand that all that was brought to us, though not all bad, but that does not belong to us. And we should seek our own identity. If you do not know the past, you will not know the future. And if you don't know the future, clearly you are lost within your present. The only way for us forward now is to decolonize and love who we are. And I should add on that another problem is people who are misinforming people about African indigenous spirituality. People should seek the rightful people who has the proper knowledge of what our African indigenous spirituality is.
And Doctor, I mean, we don't see largely, you know, the documentation of African spirituality as well as the practice thereof. So what are you doing in relation to this to also raise awareness and maybe unban those books that might have been banned so that the younger generation actually gets to know in relation to herbs, some of the herbs that they can use when they actually practice this? And later this month, we know the 25th of May, we celebrating Africa Day. So do you feel that we have something to celebrate in regards to knowing our origins? I know you've just said, ukuthi kuthiwa ingane engazi ukuthi iphuma pha yazi ukuthi iyaphi.
You are right. In terms of the celebration part, I really don't think we have much to celebrate now, except we have a lot of work, and kudos to yourselves as media to cover this event, because it's not only my award, but it's an award about somebody who is restoring and doing a work of decolonizing our people in spiritual sector. And you are right. A lot of literature that is out there, by the way, that allows people to be misinformed, was written by many of your European scholars who wrote about our African spiritual practices. Some demonized them, some wrote about them, but they used languages like religion, like prophets, because those are the languages they knew. So we are trying to fix the literature. I'm an author as well. I have released a book through my research institution. It's called Introduction to African Indigenous Spirituality. It's #1 bestseller in the country and even outside of the country. So we are busy with literature. And I also have children's books in order to assist children. They are also #1 seller, teaching them about their spiritual roots. It's not enough to know our culture, our tradition. We must know our own spirituality.
Ndlondlo, hopefully we'll get to have this chat when you are back on South African soil. Congratulations once again, and thank you so much for raising the South African flag, particularly high out in Turin. That is Dr. uZwi-Lezwe Radebe there from the Revelation Spiritual Home.